Well, hi guys, this is Jamie again, Jamie Brewster's Musical Heroes, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome George. George, music for all four seasons. George, welcome to the channel. We'll have a handshake.
Thank you,
Great.
Jamie. It's a pleasure to be on, and thank you for having me. I
It's an
appreciate it.
absolute pleasure, George. And can I thank you as well for subscribing and encouraging my channel too, my tiny little channel compared to yours. Your channel is fantastic. And I've only started sort of delving into it, but there's loads of stuff in there, and I'm looking forward to finding out more about what you've been doing. And it's
Great.
amazing,
I
really amazing. What I was going to say, George, how long have you had your channel actually? How old is it?
Actually, I posted my first video, which had to do with the small news story, a small little political story, maybe 10 years ago.
Oh wow,
But
okay.
I did not get active a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Wow.
Maybe 2021, I believe, early
Brilliant.
22. Yes, is when I really started getting active. And this past summer, I was doing a lot of shorts, and
Okay.
it, I, I think I only have a little over 7,000 subscribers, which I greatly appreciate. But
Wonderful.
this past summer, in 3 months, I brought in about 6,000.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And with YouTube, it's kind of strange. I'll have shorts that get a couple thousand views. Posted a few the other day. They're barely 50, 60. So it's
Okay.
something with the algorithm. I have no idea, but I
No,
like putting the stuff on anyway.
so do I, my friend. I get a great buzz about doing it. I like
Same here.
researching stuff
Yeah.
and making new contacts like yourself. I mean, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you. And I've been watching the seasons on Saturday shows with Ken
Oh,
and the team. And I was going to ask you how you got involved with Ken and Tony and all those guys, Lee and everyone. How did that come about?
well, about a year ago, year and a half ago, through I'd never had Facebook before, but through my job, Facebook. So that's how I started finding out about them and their groups and their pages. So I
Okay,
just started responding, commenting,
okay,
and then Ken had reached out to me earlier this year or late last year, and we had about an hour and a half phone conversation. And he asked if I'd be able to maybe host the shows because something with technology on his end that wasn't happening. I said I'd be more than happy to, and I said I don't have to say anything. I'll host them on Zoom, what have you, but you run them. They're your shows. I'll just be the fly on the wall. But
wow,
anyway, so that's how I got involved with them, with Anthony Colatrella, Ken
yeah,
Charmer, uh, Carmine.
yeah,
There's so many others on there
sure,
on Facebook that
really,
that comment on the page that are just huge Four Seasons fans. There's one gentleman, Dominic.
yeah,
He's a singer, great singer, and does a
okay.
lot of Valley Four Seasons material.
Does he? Okay. Well, I must make contact on Facebook because I mean I'm not a great fan of it, but I do it reluctantly. But if it
Okay.
makes contacts like this, I've got to do more of it. And I think, unfortunately, we live in this sort of world of social media stuff. I'm not a great advocate of it, but I know we have to. And if we're
It
doing these
it
sorts of things, we need to do it.
and I wasn't either. YouTube, I think I have a subscription to it quite a few years, and YouTube for me has done so much for the hobby of music collecting.
Yeah.
There's so
Right.
many channels that I follow. There's the Rachel Show,
Okay.
Mean Mr. Mayo,
Yep.
Beetle Brad, just so many out there. Doc Dacus, and it's all about talking about music, sharing their music, and a lot of the music they're into, I'm really not into, but I enjoy hearing people share their passion for it.
Absolutely. I love that too. It's really from the heart stuff, isn't it, George? It
Yes,
gives you
yes.
joy in your life. And can I ask you where the Four Seasons first entered into your life?
I would say back in about 1973, I was at a drugstore there in the city that I grew up, and I came across an album, a gray colored album, Chameleon. I
Mm,
believe the album had only been out a couple of years, but I picked it up. I think I was 12, 13 years old.
okay.
And as soon as that needle dropped, I listened to that thing day and night. I had no idea who the Four Seasons really were. I
Okay.
remember hearing some high falsetto pitch songs as a young kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then that four album box set came out in 73, 74. My
Yeah.
father purchased that for me. That did it.
I did it.
That did it.
Yeah.
But it was a Chameleon album that it's like this album. Why haven't other people heard of it? To me, that's an album that should have been up there with Tapestry, with everything the Carpenters were doing. In fact, it had a harder edge.
Definitely.
And anyway, I just found love with Chameleon. For me, a masterpiece.
Well, I share that completely. I think I've got 2 copies at home. They're both a bit scratched. And I'm going to do an album review of it before too long. Hopefully, I'll
Can I share one just real quick?
Yeah.
When the Four Seasons recorded Chameleon, there was a band member, Dimitri Callis. And I did a YouTube special on him about a year ago for his birthday. It was the birthday or the anniversary of his passing.
Okay.
And I had gotten in contact with Dimitri 3-4 years before he passed. And he sold me a binder about this thick with everything he had collected when he was with the band.
You're kidding
From
me.
About 71 to 73, maybe 74, everything. News clippings, autographs, pictures, fan club items that Ken Chalmers familiar with. It was a binder this thick.
Oh, amazing.
His own personal binder.
Never. That is like 1 in a million. Trillion.
Yes.
You lucky guy.
I did post it on YouTube. I was just getting started, so it's really not that clear.
Okay.
But anyway, I was just so honored to have that. And at the time, Dimitri Callis was raising money for some pet shelter.
Okay.
So that's how I came across it.
Wow.
Yeah. And then what I did on that video is I opened up an actual 53-year-old copy of Chameleon and unwrapped it. Just, for the heck of it.
What?
Yeah.
My goodness.
But great album.
Oh, it's one of my all-time favorite albums by anybody. It really is.
Yes.
And the amount of people in the UK who've never heard it. I mean, we had The Night. The Night was a single. It did quite well in the sort of Northern dance scene.
Yes.
And also they played Touch the Rain Child. I don't know if that was the B-side. I can't remember, but that was also played. And I heard, I mean, when I was at uni, I was a bit of a DJ for one. I used to play The Night a lot.
Okay.
But no one had heard any of the album.
Right.
It just sort of it never went anywhere. I mean, it's a bit like Genuine Imitation Life in the UK. It just no one heard of it. I mean,
another favorite.
Amazing. Yeah, totally amazing. And I think those 2 are my most favorite albums. But I love Helicon. And
Helicon too. Helicon, I love it. I just really enjoy that.
I do too. It was the follow-up to Who Loves You, wasn't it?
Yes.
Who Loves You did fantastically everywhere, didn't it? I mean, it was just wow. And I love the lesser-known tracks as well. I really like the slower ballads and
what about that Emily Salde dance?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's a rocker.
It's amazing.
John Paiva, Lee Shapiro, Jerry Polci, Don Ciccone, they were really getting it on.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So in terms of live shows then, George, when did you were fortunate enough to see them?
I went to my first live show in the summer of 78 when Frankie Valli had Grease on the charts at #1 for 3 weeks. That was my first time. I went 2 nights back to back. It was at Magic Mountain here in California, and you got in with the price of your admission. But that was the first time. And since then, you can add from 78 to last year another 37 times.
Oh, not many then.
Yeah. I love the band, and I enjoy how Frankie Valli has come through the times.
Incredible.
People say an oldies act. I don't see him as an oldies act.
Not at all. No,
there was no way.
Very current.
Very.
And I mean, I first saw the band, I think it was in the early 70s.
Oh, wow.
Early 70s in Leicester, in England. Leicester is a city we were born and bred, right in the middle of the country. And they came to a place called De Montfort Hall. And it must have been about 70.
It had to be 71. Because I think they played back there in 71.
Did they?
And again in 76 and 77.
It must be 71.
I believe. Yeah.
71. So I went along and the hall was half empty.
Yeah, really
unbelievable. Half empty. they played. I just remember them doing some of the hits and not much else, but they played very well. A memorable concert, but the atmosphere, there wasn't much atmosphere. There's no one there.
Right. And you know, and I've heard that happening with groups like the Beach Boys also.
Absolutely.
Half-filled halls.
Yeah.
Again, the Seasons hadn't had a chart hit in what, 3, maybe 4 years?
Yeah.
But to just hear half-filled, wow.
I know, sort of, you know, and I'm a great Beach Boys fan, as you know, as well.
I enjoyed the Beach
you
Boys
are too,
also.
aren't you? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
What wonderful, you know, albums like Sunflower, you know, and we were fortunate enough in the UK to Sunflower is one of my favorites because it's such a great production and arrangements, and we had Cotton Fields as the opening track, the single 45. So the UK version had got Cotton Fields as the opener, and that really fitted so well with the rest of the album. So in the US, it was you just got Slip On Through as the opening track. Whereas Cotton Fields opened up in, I think, Australia, UK, somewhere else in Europe, and it was great. You know, it just a blast. You know, big hit in the UK.
Really. And you know, and those are some albums, I'll be honest, Jimmy, I'm not familiar with, but I do want to listen to them because they do get discussed a lot on YouTube. Beach Boys, I go like to maybe Breakaway to the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I think if you know, obviously you're a great fan of Chameleon. I think you'd love Sunflower because it's, in a way, it's got some sort of, there's some similarities. And you know, the track Cool Water, you know, I mean, that was a Smile outtake. I mean, just fantastic. Surf's Up, what a great album. Holland, you know, they're all classics. They're all classics.
Wow.
Know? Yeah, definitely.
That's, you know, if you don't mind, can I show you something right now? Since
you show me something right away, my friend.
I've had this set of autographs a few years, but this is a set of autographs going back to, I believe, 1963.
Goodness.
Where it's, I'm not sure how it's going to. Mike Love, Carl Wilson,
they're all there.
David Marks. Yeah.
Goodness me, where did you get that from, George?
I bought it from some collector, I believe. It was an attorney.
Okay.
And he was into music memorabilia.
Wow.
And he had it for a couple of years, and he purchased it from another collector years ago. And then this is the original Capitol photo release of the Beach Boys.
For sure.
But those are the
little kids
from '63.
Isn't that incredible? So when did you first get into their music?
Beach Boys, right after the Four Seasons, you know, with the oldies radio, the big 50s, 60s come back in the early 70s.
Wow. Okay.
So it was, you know, Four Seasons, Beach Boys, all the Motown, a lot of single artists, some soul music. Right. Yeah. So right when I was in the 12, 13 years old, so is when I really started listening to it. But as a teenager, I did enjoy the newer stuff coming out too, which I'm going to throw the Four Seasons because they came back very big.
Big, huge.
Very big. You know, they say that was one of, even though Frankie Valli doesn't like the term comeback, one of the greatest comebacks of all time.
Yeah. Gotta be.
With number one records. You know, December 63 at the time was the longest running chart record. I think till Mariah Carey broke that record.
Okay.
Something like 52, 54 weeks on the charts.
Amazing. Utterly incredible. It was like a sort of it was a rebirth. It was almost like, I've been following the Four Seasons. Then all of a sudden you got Who Loves You. I thought, at last, people are listening to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
Who Loves You was great.
Yeah. And it was like, at last people understand that they're bloody good, you know.
Yeah.
And
and you know, the Four Seasons, they've always been a fully self-contained band.
Yeah.
A band.
Yeah.
You know, and when they were out, it was basically just them, and the Beach Boys were barely starting to chart. I think Sherry and Surfing Safari charted at the same time, but we all know where Sherry went. Surfing Safari, I think, barely cracked the top 40, if that, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember. Certainly in the UK, it was probably around there, I would imagine. But we didn't really know much about the Beach Boys. But I remember the first album I got of theirs was the Best of the Beach Boys Volume 1, and that was different to the US version. So I got that. A friend of mine, I think it was a party at a friend's house, and he said, "Listen to this." I thought, that is great. And I used to listen to the Beatles a lot because my older brother.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I mean, he was a real Beatles nut, and so I got Beatles in me. and he liked I don't know, some of the UK bands, the Kinks and the Hollies. I mean, I love the Hollies and people like that, and a bit of Tamla Motown. And he didn't really listen to the Beach Boys until I started bringing them into the house. And,
Oh, okay.
and his ear pricked up a little bit. I thought, yeah, these Beach Boys are pretty good, aren't they? They're flipping hard. And I've always preferred
Yeah.
the Beatles. I mean, I love the Beatles, but there's something about, well, the Seasons and the Beach Boys, but particularly for me, the Beach Boys, there's something in that doesn't, the Beatles don't touch my heart as much as the Beach Boys. They just don't get there quite as much somehow.
And I'm the same way. It's the Four Seasons, Beach Boys, of course, Bee Gees. I'm a huge Bee Gees
Bee
fan.
Gees, okay.
And Beatles, I do follow. I collect. I do really enjoy them, but they don't hit like the Four Seasons.
Yeah,
they just don't.
I would
that's
agree.
just me.
But I agree. And there's something about their harmonies and their arrangements that I don't know. You just think, yeah, that's flipping brilliant. And they didn't have George Martin. I mean,
right.
John Lennon, McCartney, and George Martin. That was a team and a half. But so was Gary Crew and Colello and
sure.
Sure.
I mean, Gaudio had his first chart hit at 15 years old, reaching number 3 on the Billboard chart. Short Shorts. Some people, they make fun of the song, Short Shorts, this and that. It charted number 3, and it was a song of the time. Yeah. It was a rock and roll tune. Absolutely. And a good one.
For sure. Yeah. I don't think we'd heard of that in the UK. Probably not. Very different in a way, weren't we? I don't know how it is now. I don't know with contemporary rock and roll and stuff. I don't really follow it too much, but I like the old stuff. It's something that, it's a bit like an old motorcycle. You can get, I like my motorbikes. You can have a brand new one. It ticks loads of boxes, but there's something like an old classic. They don't make them like that anymore,
Right. And, for me, Jamie, becoming a teenager in the 70s, I think for any kid, it was a great time to get into music because you had the 50s and 60s still being played. Yep. And a lot of these artists still releasing albums in the 70s with the contemporary groups.
For sure.
It's like when the Beatles released that first live album on Capitol 76, I believe. I couldn't wait for that to come out. Yeah. I could not wait. It was got to hear the Beatles 10 years earlier, how they sounded playing at I don't remember where it was recorded from, but just a great album.
Absolutely remarkable. I think so. So, I mean, Frankie's been doing stuff until fairly recently, hasn't he? What's he up to? Do you know? I mean, is he doing anything, or is he lying down now and recovering?
Well, I know that this year, the latter part of 23 and 24, it's what's called his encore tours. Okay. He is going to be slowing down. He does have some shows scheduled. In fact, my wife, for Father's Day, purchased 2 tickets to go see him July 6th in Las Vegas, but the show was canceled about 2 weeks ago. Oh. But he is coming to Long Beach, which I'm near Long Beach sometime in November, but I'll have to see. Yes, but anyway, so he's slowing down a bit on the touring schedule. And then his musical director, Robbie Robinson, he's been with the band like 44 years. So he's one of the longest Four Seasons ever, which, people say the Four Seasons. I've always referred to the Four Seasons as the name of a band, not necessarily with the number of members in the group.
Sure. And I agree with that. Yeah, I'd go along with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay, my friend. That's okay.
Yeah. But so I guess he's going to be slowing down a bit. I mean, he is going to be 90 in a couple of months.
That's amazing, isn't it?
90 years old.
How did that happen? He was only 45 last week.
To me, that's what it seems like. Yeah. Oh, and then recently he was just knighted last weekend through the St. Francis. I should have written it down. St. Francis the First, some organization that originates from Sicily back in the 1600s, part of the Catholic Church. Oh, wow. And they just knighted him last weekend for all his humanitarian work, and I mean, he's donated a lot of money to a lot of organizations. Wow! So, in fact, I put a little short on my YouTube channel on that.
Oh, I've got to see that. I haven't.
So, Sir Frankie Valli.
Sir Frankie Valli. How about that? Well, we're honoured. Yeah. And I'm a little bit sad that Brian Wilson obviously lost his wife recently, and he's not been so well. I don't think he's doing too well, really.
Yeah, just this week that he's going to be put under, if I'm pronouncing, under a conservativeship.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm just,
No,
oh, that, I just,
I know. It's very,
oh my
very, very
God.
sad. I know. Yeah. So sad
Sad,
news.
sad news.
But there's talk of him releasing an album that he started in 1970. I
Country
don't,
album?
yeah,
Yes,
with Fred
yes. Do you
Vale.
know
Yeah.
anything about that?
Well, he started it during the Sunflower Sessions in 1970, and with Fred Vale. And Fred Vale, I think, was the manager at the time, and
Correct.
Fred was he was doing the lead vocals. They got a lot of guys playing instruments, different guys. I know from country and western and everything. But Brian wrote the songs, and Fred was going to do the lead vocals. I think they did quite a lot of takes and a lot of sessions. I think there were 14 tracks, I think. But he lost interest. Brian just lost interest after a while. I don't know why. He just thought, I'm getting bored with this, and off he went. So it was all shelved, and it's been rediscovered in vaults. I forget who was looking into the vaults and saying, "Hey, what's this country album?" And Fred Vale was contacted. Then contacted Brian, I think, and the whole thing is starting to take place potentially for 2025. But,
Oh, okay.
so that is potentially going to happen, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, we will. But I sure wish him the best. I mean, I really enjoy his work, his art. He's really, really good. Which, again, I feel Bob Gaudio is right there, but we don't hear much of Bob Gaudio as in Wilson or Lennon and McCartney or Gaudio and crew.
Yep,
and to me, those writers are right up there.
They're right up there for sure. Most definitely. I totally agree. And what joy they've given so many people, haven't they? And
Sure.
Here we are. You're in the other side of the flipping world, and we're having a great chat about these guys. And it's an
exactly. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's just amazing.
That's great. I've been so looking forward to meeting you, and you're going to show me some stuff, George.
Well, I just wanted to let me show you what I just came across 2 days ago. And boy, and this is from the original owner who obtained it back in October of 1963. Now,
gosh,
you might have to look a little close. It's the Big Girls Don't Cry album.
Yep.
But autographed by each band member. Not sure if you can see it. It's in green pen.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
It's just their first name, Nikki, Frankie, Bob, and Tommy.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was autographed again back at the Elsinore Theater in Salem, Oregon, back in October of 1963.
Wonderful. Oh, what a treasure. What a treasure.
And then just one other item here.
Okay.
This Sherry album I came across
that's
5-6 years ago. And you have to look close. It's in blue marker, but it's autographed to Howie Greenfield from Bob Crew.
Goodness me.
And this was Howie Greenfield's original copy given to him by Bob Crew because Howie Greenfield had a song on here, "Oh Carol." And on the back, Bob Crew wrote him a little message there.
Oh, great.
And I purchased this from somebody back east who went to the estate sale for Howie Greenfield after he passed. You know, Howie Greenfield, Neil Sedaka, all their work. But anyway, on the back.
And the album looks in wonderful condition.
Yes,
Look at it.
Yes, it is. It's in really, really, really nice shape.
Super
but just knowing that this album belonged to Howie Greenfield. Anyway, on the back, Bob Gaudio writes, "Oh, Howie, oh, Carol, oh, thank God for Sherry and all of us geniuses." Bad English, huh? Then he puts "beautiful anyway, but beauty is," which all means something about keep swinging. Love always, Bob.
I tell you what, isn't that? And what a guy Bob Crew. I mean, what talent. Incredible.
Oh, very, 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 very talented. Yes, very. And then just this picture. This is one of the few times I met Frankie Valli. This is back in, I believe, 2007 in the city of Los Angeles, where he played at a concert there at some huge Italian festival.
Goodness me.
And I met him in fact, it was on the Jimmy Kimmel show. In fact, the clip might be online.
Okay.
And I met him as they were rehearsing, and he just gave me the time of day. We chatted, took a few things for him to autograph, pictures. I
Amazing.
was a kid in the candy store.
Of course you were. You know, and I remember. Did you ever see Brian Wilson's Smile show with the Smile? Did you ever see that?
I think I've seen bits and pieces on YouTube.
Okay. The actual performance was amazing. It healed me. It healed my life to see Smile performed by him and his band. It was just incredible. I think we saw it 3 times. We'd seen the Pet Sounds concerts, but Smile was just mind-blowing. I saw there were people there. There was, I think Elton was in the audience one night in London. We saw Elton. I think we saw one of the Who. What's his name from the Who? Can't think. Sue. Then I go guy from Who. He was at the Smile show. Anyway, a load of the guys were there.
Really?
Yeah. Pardon? No, I don't know if Eric Clapton was there. I can't remember. But there were a load of celebrities watching Brian do Smile live. And it was, I tell you what, people were coming out. They'd come over from the States saying, I remember a guy saying, I've got terminal cancer, but I had to get to this show.
Wow.
Somewhere in the States. And it was the best show I'd ever seen from anyone. It was incredible. The musicianship was wonderful. And it just, I thought,
that is something else.
Yeah, he's done it. And so we saw that 3 times and I met Brian. Luckily, I'd got a Smile t-shirt, the original album design. And I just walked in backstage and they let me in. And they said to my wife, you can't come in. They sort of said, no, you can come in, but she can't. So I walked in and there was Jeff Foskett. And I said, Jeff, that music is healing. And he said, thanks, my friend. We had a little chat. And then I said to Brian, I had to shook his hand. And I said, it was healing. He just said, thank you. But it was,
the power of music. I was having a brief conversation yesterday through my place of business. Our CPA is an individual who toured and worked with Stevie Wonder for about 22 years old, was part of the touring, the managing tour team and handled his finances. 22 years. And every time we start talking, we go on. He's known so many people in the industry, but we're talking about how, you have these beautiful paintings, art, and music is right there.
Definitely. Oh, for sure.
But I'm watching you, Jamie, describe your experience at this concert where Smile, and you should see how it just picks you up.
I was going through a bit of a bad session. We were selling a business at the time and it was going horribly wrong. And I was getting a lot of depression, anxiety, and everything was horrible. And I went to that show and I could have just walked in. I could have been on the top of the world. Nothing else seemed to matter at all. It doesn't matter about this selling a business and going through stuff. None of it mattered, because it just lifted me up into the heavens.
Wow. Again, the power of music.
Yeah.
The power of music.
Absolutely.
That is something else.
Isn't it?
Can I ask, have you seen Jersey Boys?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. Great. I loved it. I loved it. But of course there were gaps in the show where I said, but they missed that bit out. They didn't do that bit. Why did they not do that bit? Because no one knew about it much.
Exactly. No one knew their story. And again, it's been said a good 80 to 90% of the story is true.
Sure.
But the timelines and things have been kind of played with a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what a hit.
Another rejuvenation.
Complete.
Out of the blue.
I mean, when you think there was a play similar for Elvis Presley, the Beatles, the Beach Boys, and those did not succeed on Broadway.
Yeah.
And Jersey Boys from the Four Seasons, it's just
phenomenal, unbelievable.
Yeah.
And again, people sat up and took note. And I was saying, they're flipping good. You ought to listen to them. And they say, Jersey Boys is good. Yeah, I told you they were good.
Yep, exactly. I know some people, I have friends, they're really not too keen on that falsetto of Frankie Valli.
Yeah, my mum used to not like it actually.
Yeah, and my dad, he'd listen to the stuff, but he'd make his little wisecracks, you know, is that a anyway.
Okay.
And I love it. It's like the Barry Gibb falsetto.
Sure.
I just love it. And I think the Beatles have used a bit of it from time to time, as well as Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
And I just love that falsetto sound.
Definitely.
But Frankie Valli's is incredible.
It's the best.
The various ranges of his voice is just really, really good.
Absolutely great.
Really, really good.
For sure.
Yeah.